So there's two major companies that are currently suing the UK government, and these aren't small little businesses. Apple and Wikipedia. And the actual details of the lawsuit and the nature of the lawsuit is something that I think is really interesting to talk about. And weirdly, for the first time ever, I've got to salute Apple and salute Wikipedia for their lawsuits, because if these lawsuits fail, if they fail against the UK government, we are absolutely done for. So the first lawsuit is Apple, and this one actually managed to slip under the radar for a lot of people. And it's really funny how, although BBC post all of their articles on social media, they posted this one on their website, but they didn't share it anywhere else. Apple is suing the UK government after the UK government requested to introduce a policy that would require Apple to share all of its user data with the UK government upon request. This would be in the form of an annual report of all of its users' information, or it would be in the form of a request-based system where the UK government could request all of the confidential information that we have on our iPhones, and Apple would be required to hand it over. Now, for the most part, this isn't things like our text messages, images, and all of that stuff. There is no data source in the whole world that could hold every single piece of digital media in the UK. It just doesn't exist, and that's not what the UK government are asking for. But they're asking for the ability to be able to, should they want to, which Edward Snowden was right, but it's happening in the UK now. It's happening in the UK. This is mass surveillance. Now, of course, Apple have responded in the most obvious way and just said this is a complete violation of people's privacy, and Apple want absolutely zero part in it, and they'll fight this tooth and nail because this completely undermines Apple's integrity also. Now, this brings us on to the second lawsuit, and the second lawsuit is even more interesting. In fact, I say interesting, downright disturbing. So Wikipedia obviously is a massive resource of information, and Wikipedia on average, it can get some things wrong, but welcome to the internet. There is misinformation on some Wikipedia threads, but overall it pretty much averages itself out. Overall, Wikipedia is a really good place to get some quick contextual information on a scenario, a topic, or a person if you're looking at like a celebrity's backstory or movies they've been in. Wikipedia is a really good resource for information, and it's fully managed, created and run by the general public. It's probably like if you think about it, it's probably the biggest and best community project that's ever existed, and it runs somewhat harmoniously. Well, the UK government have been pushing for people to be required to submit a form of ID to actually add content onto Wikipedia. Why? Stop asking the government questions. You don't deserve to know why. No, genuinely, they haven't given a reason why. The UK government have said it's all part of their plan to prevent misinformation online. Right, I'm not being funny, but someone can submit their ID and still lie on the internet. It's not a crime to lie. So whether ID is submitted or not, it's not going to change anything. So obviously, the real reason why the UK government want this is to basically get an idea of who's spreading what ideologies around the internet, which sounds really familiar to something that where have I seen this before? It will come to me. It will come to me. Now, Wikipedia have fought back against this, and rightfully so. And here's a little excerpt from the Wikimedia Foundation, which says, for example, the foundation would be required to verify the identity of many Wikipedia contributors, undermining the privacy that is central to keeping Wikipedia volunteers safe. In addition to being exceptionally burdensome, this requirement, which is just one of several Category 1 demands, could expose contributors to data breaches, stalking, lawsuits, or even imprisonment by authoritarian regimes. And this is something that's worth noting. A lot of information that is added to Wikipedia, especially when it's to do with kind of like controversial topics, for example, what's happening in Ukraine, Russia, Israel, the Gaza Strip, all of that stuff is very, like, there's a lot of sensitive information. We're not going to get into the politics of all of that, but the fact is that some of the people that could expose what's going on in any scenario to do with any different regime around the world could actually receive serious consequences. Now, with the risk at the moment of hacks taking place in the UK by foreign governments, having someone that's seeking asylum in the UK actually adding information and inputting information into Wikipedia about what they've seen, some of their experiences, or what information that they have as an insider into that could actually end up with their life being at risk because of that information. That is worrying. The thing is, a lot of the information that's on Wikipedia comes down to basic moderation. People that constantly contribute really awful material or incorrect information lose the ability to actually contribute to Wikipedia, it moderates itself relatively well. And freedom of information, and I don't mean like the Freedom of Information Act, but the actual freedom to obtain, learn, and be resourceful with information is not something that we should overlook as UK citizens. The internet, of course, has many flaws, and let's not lie, the internet has a lot of problems, but an authoritarian regime is not the answer to that. And it's actually really good to hear that big tech companies are fighting back against this. And when it comes to the British public, there's not much we can do. Now, of course, there's a petition online about the Online Safety Act, and I've shared it in the past 2 videos, but to be honest, and this is me being brutally honest about it, nothing will happen. You could get like 70% of the UK population to vote against it. It wouldn't change. Many petitions have gone up on the government website and received millions of signatures in the past. Millions of signatures. Nothing's changed. That petition is to get them to have a discussion in Parliament. The amount of people that actually vote on it does not weigh into the outcome of the decision that Parliament make. The really interesting point as well is when these petitions are made, obviously there's like a section where you give your reasoning of why that petition is important. Well, that segment of information that you provide isn't always even discussed in Parliament. Sometimes they basically say, here's a topic, here's a law that people are petitioning against. They bring up the law, bring up all the clauses, they go through it just to make sure that they're happy with it. They read it out in a room full of people, and if they're all still happy with everything in there, hammer goes down, the law stays intact. That's literally what happens. These petitions are to give the illusion of democracy. And I'm not saying that we are going in a very, very bad direction with what's happening at the moment in the UK, but I'm not saying that we are like North Korea, and let's not pretend like we are. But if we were looking at a trajectory of where we're heading as a country, it is going in that direction. It is definitely going in that direction. And this brings me on to my privacy and my anonymity online. Anonymity? You know what I mean. I'm not a political channel at all. Like, my main channel is a gaming channel. This is my second channel where I sometimes post some gaming clips and talk about other subjects outside of gaming. I've always wanted to be anonymous on the internet because as that channel gets bigger and I'm becoming more well known within the gaming Grand Theft Auto community, I don't want to be famous. I like doing YouTube and it's brilliant. I can pay my bills from it, but I don't want to be famous. These new laws that are coming in are removing the ability for people just to be on the internet without a trace. I want to be on the internet. I love being on the internet. I love seeing funny stories, funny memes. I enjoy the news that's not being perpetuated by governments and news that's just getting spread around through various pages on social media where people can post their own opinions, their own thoughts. And I think that the internet has made me a somewhat more well-rounded person because I'm able to see other viewpoints, other people's opinions. Now, people can take that the wrong way and go completely divisive on it. Initially, I did. About 5 years ago, I went around a whole rabbit hole of information that I started to get soaked into it. And that's not something that I'm ashamed of. That's me being able to understand maybe both sides of an argument is something I'm proud of, and the internet is the reason for that. But I want to be a contributor to the internet. I want to be able to view content on the internet. I don't want to be monitored when doing it. I'm not doing anything nefarious or illegal. So yeah, people are fighting back. And if you want to go and sign the petition, it is down below. It's not much and I don't think it'll work, but it's significantly better than doing nothing. So go and sign the petition. And also, if you want to get around the current regulations that are in place and you are an adult and you are able to be using the internet and all the capacity that the government say you need to, you can use a VPN so you're not having to submit your ID every 3 seconds online. Down below, there's a link to private internet access. They're not a sponsor, but I am an affiliate. I get a commission. If you want to support the channel, go and get a VPN through them. You save like 83% off, and it's only like a couple of dollars a month. So yeah, go check that out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Oh, Keir Starmer, please, no, please get off my face, please.